Hey, Betting Nation, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome on the podcast Caan Berry. Caan is a full-time trader and author. Yes, that's right, Betting Nation. I said Caan is now a published author. His book has just come out and it's called Betfair Trading Made Simple. We'll definitely get into the book later. Okay, Caan, for the people who don't know you, could you give us a brief outline and a glimpse into your personal life?
Hi Dean, yeah sure. So I'm 32 years old, I live in Essex, UK. I've got 2 kids, 2 boys, nothing serious on the missus front at the moment. I tend to find that's a bit harder than trading. And then, yeah, what else do I do? I like reading, exercise, and the usual sort of stuff, generally getting pissed in the spare time, just a normal bloke. Oh, and audiobooks, that's my newfound love at the moment. I'm hooked on audiobooks.
Oh, Caan, I absolutely love audiobooks. I think I've read some like 26 books, well, listened to 26 books already this year. I absolutely love them. How old are your boys, by the way, Caan?
So my oldest is 8, and you've caught me off balance now. My youngest is
Sorry.
4.
Caan, did it get easier? I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
No, not at all.
And so, what? Oh, damn. What do you consider your area of expertise?
So for anyone that knows me, pre-race trading's the main thing for me. Dabbled in a bit of tennis too. Well, I started with pre-race trading, so it just made sense to sort of focus on that. That's where I found the most success and the quickest, and I never really left it. I mean, who can walk away from cash that's sat there waiting to be made? It's hard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So tell Betting Nation, I'm sure everybody listening has had some down times when they've been trading. Tell us your worst moment as a trader.
It's a tough one
question,
because,
I know.
Yeah, sure, it's a tough one. I mean, it's been a while since anything particularly bad happened. There's definitely a story out there on YouTube already. It's quite long-winded, where basically it was self-fulfilling sort of prophecy type thing. I put myself in a bad situation, led into a lot of stress, and then I just made everything a hell of a lot worse, which I think is probably a regular thing for anyone that's just coming into trading. There's also a post over on the blog called Crash and Burn, which I remember it vividly. Basically, they reached a point within my trading where it was like, if I don't make this work right now, I'm just going to knock it on the head. And that come after going in play one time, which, like I say, it's a distant memory now, and I often forget the details and get muddled up. You may hear various different versions of the different stories, but you know, it was all the same sort of stuff, really.
Oh, Caan, I can tell you endless amount of times when I've done a bad trade and I've let it go and play, and you're thinking it's going to be all right because it might be a 5-1 shot, and inevitably the damn thing goes and wins. It's terrible. Okay, so we'll go from the worst moment to your best moment. Tell us about your aha moment and when you realised the moment that trading was for you.
Well, to be honest, I think right from the start I decided it was for me. I'm a bit pig-headed, a bit headstrong like that, and so once I made that decision, it was kind of like all or nothing for a long time. So I think the point where it came a reality was, I think it was around about August. It was like towards the end or middle end of summer. And suddenly I'd gone from, I mean, initially I'd reached a stage where I was making maybe like 80 quid, 100 quid on the weekend on Saturday. The missus didn't like it too much. Again, something I think happens to so many people. But they reached a point where it was like, wow, of an evening and weekends, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit obsessive probably, the weekends and evenings. I was making about £3 on the side, and I was like, that's more than I make when you consider tax and all that kind of stuff as well. Just of an evening and weekend. So this is the point where I need to look at doing this really seriously now. But I'd already previously wanted to. That burning desire for that was already there.
Yeah, 100%. So what does a normal working morning look like for Caan then?
Well, that's half the beauty of it. There isn't actually a normal working morning. It varies depending on what's happening on the cards and my outside life. So one thing that I always make a point of, probably more so now than I ever used to, is making sure that trading fits around my life as well, because that was the whole motivation for doing it in the first place. For me, it was the freedom and doing what I want, as well as, you know, the money as well. There's no point kind of being stuck behind the screen trading every single race, because it's just like, what's the point? Aside from that, filled up with a bit of web stuff. Obviously, the website's coming on a lot. There's been a bit of development there. And then just checking for daily opportunities on the cards. Yeah,
your website's looking really good as well. Has there been a new? I know mentioned this before. There's been a new logo as well. I think it looks really good, buddy.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit happen recently. There's been quite a few updates.
Cool. Tell me one thing that you are really fired up about at the moment in your professional life.
Yeah, sure. That probably carries on from the last question. In fact, I think it's today. There's a big video pack update that's just gone live. So we put a lot of effort into that and improving that for anybody that uses it. Initially, when it first came out, it was kind of like more recordings of just me and my trades, sort of looking over my shoulder at the screen. But since then, it's developed into a lot more. On top of that, the only other thing that gets me fired up is sort of things like the ebooks and just making sure everything's as efficient as possible. Not so long ago, I actually ditched the smartphone, which was probably the best move I've had. Yeah, since then it's slipped back in, obviously with the audiobooks and stuff like that. But I've managed to turn off all the notifications. I'm keen on efficiency at the moment.
Yeah, I've got one of my iPhone watches now, and every single Twitter notification or anything or just pops up all the time. What's it like with a phone then? Just not a smartphone. Is it hard?
Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, it all started when I went snowboarding a couple of months back with a friend. We had a great time, but I actually scratched the contacts off of the charging port of my phone while I was away. Being stuck at the top of the Alps, I didn't have a choice. So it was kind of like enforced, so it wasn't a choice straight away. But it was the best thing that happened because come sort of like 3-4 days, I was like, I actually like this, not being distracted all the time. But yeah, it's just kind of, again, it's just managing it around life rather than letting life manage you, I guess.
Yeah, 100% agree, yeah. As regular listeners will know, I'm a massive, massive self-help junkie and fan. I know from reading your posts and your Twitter that you are too. Can you give the Betting Nation one book that you would recommend?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's not really trading related, but a book that changed a lot of things for me, just because it pulled a lot of different concepts together that were very useful, I think, would have been The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, I absolutely love that book as well, and it's about the 80-20 principle and all that sort of stuff as well. It's definitely a book out there that everybody should read because it just puts into perspective what you can do with your time if you plan out correctly. And yeah, it's a really, really good book. So your journey, let's get deep down in data then, Caan. How did you go from working at McDonald's, being in the army, to being a full-time trader? And by the way, I'm a fellow McDonald's worker myself. I got 0 stars. So yeah, how did that happen then?
Yeah, I think to be completely honest with you, Dean, it's just kind of like been one accident after another. I never set out to do any of those things initially, or a lot of it anyway. McDonald's was just an early doors thing. I didn't really have much choice, so it wasn't really a chosen path. And since then, that's kind of like how I've ended up where I am now, because it's been a conscious effort of like taking control of my situation in my life. That's how I've sort of wound up to where I am now. And yeah, it's been a good thing. I couldn't recommend it anymore to anyone else. It's definitely not the easiest route to take all the time, but certainly.
Yeah, brilliant. So what was the first thing that interested you in trading?
There was a couple around the same time, so much like the previous story, I can't ever remember what was actually first. There was a clip on the TV which was like one of those student-developed clips for people that are doing media stuff at uni, and they featured a guy that was trading Betfair. He was doing quite well for himself, and I thought, that's interesting. I've just got a Betfair account, so I'll have a little look at that. And at the same time, on a betting forum, gg.com, I don't know if they've got a forum there anymore, someone actually mentioned the Geeks Toy software as well, which is obviously a software I use, and so that led me onto their forum, and then everything just spiraled from there. Yeah,
you're a big fan of the Geeks Toy software, aren't you, Caan?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's done me right. I trade manually. Everyone wants different features. I wouldn't dissuade anyone from using any of the others because there's some other great ones out there. But ultimately, that's been the one that's helped me out most.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I suppose you gotta use what suits you best and whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, certainly.
Sorry, buddy. I literally flick between both. I Geeks Toy and the other one out there as well. So I don't know which one I prefer. If you could go back in time, then, Caan, to 2011 and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Just one. Yeah. If it was just one, Dean, quite honestly, and I think you're a fan of this as well, is the fact that I would really scrutinise my immediate circle of people around me. And it sounds quite cold in a lot of senses, and it is in a way, but it's only when you sort of get onto the other side you realise how important it is. But dropping the dead weight, not just in the financial sense, it can have a huge impact on your life. And I actually remember one person that I met a couple of years ago. They had this little saying they said to me, and it went something like, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future." And at the time I was like, "Oof, that was cold." But having sat back on it and thought about it more, it's, you know, straight to the point. That's what I would say to my younger self, and it's definitely sort of allowed me to drop forces that were maybe hindering progress in the past.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. 100%. I always think that you're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with, and the people you spend most time with can either have a positive impact on you or a negative impact on you. And unfortunately, even people closest to you, you think that they've got the best interests at heart, but if you're doing well, they're secretly jealous and they try to hold you back a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, I am.
Yeah, certainly. I think also, just to add to that, I don't think people necessarily realise they're doing it all the time. It's definitely 100%. Not their motive. It's just kind of everyone's kind of inflicting their own views on each other all the time, and yeah, it rubs off. So you just have to be careful what you listen to.
Yeah, definitely, completely agree. So for those of you out there, Betting Nation, who don't know, Caan's actually documented his full journey, and that's probably one of the reasons why he's so popular online. And you can actually read his blog it's gone back from January 2011, I believe, and you can actually read it at caanberry.com/blog. I will link to it in the show notes as well, Betting Nation, because it just shows you out there that it's a big journey, and Caan started very early doors, and he had some winnings, he had some losses, and you can literally see his whole journey there. He's documented a lot for you, and it's still on his website now, and it's definitely worth checking out. Like I said, I will definitely link to that in the show notes, guys, because it's it's a good read. So for budding traders out there, people who want to make trading their full-time gig, what is the best and worst part about trading for a living?
Sure. The best parts, I guess, don't need too much explanation. Like I said, the freedom was a main thing for me, which is, it's just great to have that freedom and flexibility. The level of comfort and obviously finance that can come with that, providing you're successful anyway. And well, yeah, it's just extra time with family. You know, being able to provide for kids and let them maybe have things that you didn't necessarily have yourself, and survive quite comfortably without, you know, too much stress. Hopefully. The downside of things would obviously, well, I say obviously, is self-discipline, particularly for me. I've got a lot better at it over time, but you know, when you're working for yourself, as you'll know yourself, then there is no clock watching, there is no holiday pay, there is no sick pay. You just got to kind of get on with it, and there's not anyone else to fall back on.
Yeah, 100%. So your video pack and the book, Betfair Trading Made Simple. Let's just talk a little bit about them now. And I've got a little bit of a geeky confession to make. I've actually bought your video pack. I bought your book, obviously. I bought literally everything that you've ever come out with, Caan. And I was already trading part-time, and I wasn't particularly profitable. I was maybe winning, you know, it was literally pence here and there trading, and I never really got the hang of it. I bought the video pack and I watched all your videos, and then one day, I think it was probably a week after I bought the video pack, I actually had my first ever free figure trade. So I won over £100 pre-race on a trade. I couldn't believe it. And I actually sent you a little geeky fan email saying, "Oh my God, Caan, thank you so much. I can't believe it. I feel like I finally got the hang of this now. This is incredible." And yeah, your assistant actually wrote back to me saying how overjoyed she was the fact that I'd got in contact and I'd done well. And yeah, it was just that moment where I thought, hang about, I can actually do this. I never ever felt like I was in trouble in the trade either. And it was genuinely down to that video pack as well. And it is, for me, it was a game changer and something that I definitely learned from. And my second free figure trade actually came, I don't know if it was the same day, it was definitely within that week. And it was when the bomber entered the market, and the bomber I never knew you could be profitable when the bomber entered the market. And on your course, there's a section there, how to handle the bomber, what to do when the bomber comes into the market. And again, that made me 3 figures. So a massive thank you there. And for Betting Nation out there, when I talk about the bomber, I'll let Caan explain exactly what, who he or she is.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. There's a lot there. I mean, that's great to hear that feedback anyway. It's brilliant. But the bomber...
Genuine story as well, Caan. Sorry,
yeah,
genuine story.
I don't know that I'd seen your email, so sorry about that. But yeah, sure. That's brilliant to hear. As far as the bomber goes, I don't think you really see it as much anymore in comparison to what you used to, because there was a period of time where it was just wild. Obviously, whenever this happens, there is great opportunity offered within the market. For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, it kind of got nicknamed the bomber in sort of trading communities because it would bomb the market, quite literally, drop in 50 grand and then just drag it down, price tick for tick for tick, allowing you to just suck up profit in its wake. And then, of course, once it's done that, it's altered the market beyond where it should be a lot of the time, and there's a good rebound as well. So you can ride it both ways if you're quick enough, if you spot it and react to the actual situation. Who it is, nobody really knows. I know a lot of people used to sort of look at when the breaks were between football and say it's a bit strange because it's happening in between, that kind of stuff. And that makes logical sense to look at it like that. But I would assume it's probably somebody with a very large bank balance and a pretty big gambling problem, which is not very nice, obviously. Although, you know, it's the market's the market, and so we trade the market. It's great if we can make a profit from it.
Exactly. So if you don't take profit out of it, somebody else will. So you might as well take advantage while you can do. So I've been talking about the video pack. So let's start just talking a little bit about it. What is the video pack, Caan, and what made you do it?
So initially I had the blog. If you go back far enough, you'll see that the first posts weren't that brilliant at all in the way they were written a lot of the time. But eventually I got around to writing a guide purely because people were asking me to. I didn't think it would go anywhere. Obviously it did. It was quite popular. From there, people said, you know, this is brilliant, extra information about the markets, how it's formed, what you can expect to see, who's potentially behind certain moves, and sort of the dynamics between the market. But could I see it visually on your screen? It's kind of like, it doesn't matter what you do, people are always more obsessed with, yeah, but can I just look over your shoulder? So the video pack is kind of that overlook view of the screen, what's happening, why it's happening, with me waffling on as to why I believe it's happening, and basically just seeing how things pan out.
Yeah, excellent. And the one thing, I know I've made a note about it to talk to you about, is the fact that on the video pack as well, it's not just a one-time purchase. You're constantly updating it as well. And as the Betting Nation knows, I'm a course junkie. I literally buy, if I want to learn something, I think, right, okay, let's go to the best and let's buy the course. But more often than not, these people, when they update the course, there's an update fee as well. But the great thing about your course, Caan, is, and genuinely isn't a sales pitch for Caan's course or anything like that, but because you know that I would never, ever recommend something that A, I haven't taken, or B, isn't value. And the great thing about Caan's top course is the fact that he updates it as well. So when there's new information, when there's something that Caan thinks you need, that he updates the course as well. And it's all within the initial fee as well. So there's no extra fee. So I think that's really testament to you as well, Caan.
Just to add in there, Dean, I don't know that I think I mentioned it briefly already, but I don't know that you know. But actually today there's an extra module gone right on the front of it with an extra 10 videos. And what we've actually done is tried to make it more progressive for like anybody that's coming into it. I mean, initially it was typically people that had been reading the blog, they've dipped their toes in, they've already been burnt, they're trying to find a way in the markets. But now we've structured it so it's more progressive, sort of more tutorial based, and you can see on screen, you know, a little bit of me as well, and it's just step by step, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I actually took a note of it when you first said it before today. When you first said it in early part of the interview, I put a note today saying "today?" on the course, and I didn't actually know, I hadn't seen it, but I'll definitely be logging in and checking it out. Right, so I know in the course one of the first sections is mindset, and for me, mindset is fundamental to anything in life, and I love the fact that you put a section in here all about that. How much success do you put down to your mindset? And is that part of your military background?
Yeah, I love the fact that you just attributed that to life as well, not just to markets, because
100%.
as a side note, it's really strange. You know, throughout my time learning about the markets and learning how to trade, it's actually kind of like forced me to learn more about myself and life as well.
Yeah.
And they always seem to be, you know, running in parallel. A big part of succeeding on a higher scale, at least, is definitely attributed to mindset, because at the end of the day, you can have all the tools, all the knowledge, everything you need, but if you can't pull the trigger at the right time, stop yourself from doing the wrong thing, then you know you're in hot water. So mindset's a massive problem for people, particularly in the early stages, and even more so for people that are unaware. But like you said in your initial question there, you can attribute that to life. People that are completely aware are often the ones that are stuck.
Yeah, 100%. I just think that mindset and how I mean, everybody has you can always think about positives and negatives in life, and you might be it's something. I mean, I've got a friend who's had a really bad injury, and I've just been to a pub with him recently, and in life I said to him, look, I said that you can always look at the negatives, because I don't care who you are, you've always got negatives in life, and you've always got positives as well, whether even the littlest positive, and it depends on what you focus on. And you can focus on the negative if you want, but it'll take you down a negative path. You can focus on the positive as well if you want, and that'll take you a completely different way. And I think mindset is so important to not just trading, obviously, as well, but to life as well. I know that I'm talking probably something different mindset to positive and negative thinking, but also that you can certainly incorporate that into some part of that.
Yeah, it's
some sort
everywhere.
of trading as well.
I think really it's absolutely everywhere. And the more you're aware of it, the easier things potentially become. Just following on that last part there, because obviously I missed that out about the military. I'm not too sure how much it helped. It may have helped a little bit, although I think a lot of it's down to kind of like the individual talking to people. Maybe having experienced some things allows me to see things a little bit easier. I don't really know. I wouldn't necessarily fix it purely to the military, though, to be honest with you. That was just another crash course in learning for me in life.
Yeah, 100%. So just really quickly, Caan, let's talk about your book, Betfair Trading Made Simple. I love it. I've read it myself. As soon as it came out, I did 10 free giveaways. And by the way, there's still some people who hasn't got in contact with me. So make sure you do. Make sure you check it out. My kids actually pulled out of the hat 10 free winners, and I believe 6 of you have got in contact. So there's still 4 people who haven't claimed your book, and it's well worth a read. So if you could just talk about your book really quickly, Caan, for us, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, sure. I did see that giveaway there as well, actually, with the kids. That was quite amusing.
It was a nightmare, Caan. Absolute bloody nightmare.
As far as the book goes, it's just been a little bit side project for the last year or so, just been little bit by bit. And all I wanted to do was just break down that initial stage, put it out there on Amazon, publish it in paperback, make it really simple, aimed at beginners, and not even necessarily strategy based. There's a little bit towards the end there, you've probably seen yourself. But regardless of sport, I wanted to kind of like just put the foundation layer in for anyone from any background, so they can just pick it up, not knowing nothing, and then, you know, be away by the time they finish the book.
Yeah, 100%. So what made you create the book then, Caan?
It was purely just a gap in the market, really. Previously, obviously, trading's been very niche. It is a niche topic. Obviously, it's something within Betfair primarily, anyway. Within betting, so I didn't really see any demand for it. But you know, over time, it just made sense to do it. I've got the spare time. Obviously, racing's in the afternoon, so I've got to fill up the morning somehow. Aside from laying in, it's not very healthy.
Yeah, 100%. Just really quickly, I loved, one of my favourite sections was on variance, and Saikov. I know that you guys are good friends. I hope I pronounced that right. I always just call him Saikov. I saw that, I think he had like 9 losers on the spell, and people were giving him a bit. So there was, majority of people were very supportive, but there was some people giving him grief, and it is variance. And I love the way you explain variance as well. And another part I loved is if you have a genuine edge in the market, then the edge will pay out long term. There's no doubt about it. Another thing is the bookmaker's cash out function. If you do have a bookmaker's account, never a traditional bookmaker, I don't mean like Betfair Exchange, I mean a traditional bookmakers, never ever use that cash out button, because you are getting a ridiculous you're getting no value for your money whatsoever. And yeah, if you do that over a period of time, I don't care what happens, win or lose, on that particular bet, overall, you will lose. You cannot win taking the bookmaker's cash out. And I know it's there to obviously soften the blow if a goal goes against you last minute, but over a period of time, you will be better off just keeping that bet. Even though you've had the bet anyway, just keep that bet. Never ever cash out with a bookmaker's cash out. It's just no value whatsoever for me anyway.
Yeah, sure. With them points you mentioned there, particularly variance and that, I just wanted to offer like a real sound, logical explanation to the point where, you know, you can't argue with it because it's just,
100%, yeah.
It's fact. So yeah, I mean, them inevitable down spells will come at points within results, no matter what you're doing. But if you know logically, you know, that what you're doing is right, then, you know, eventually you come out on top.
100%, yeah, couldn't agree more. So how's the book going then, Caan? I know it's been out just over a week now, has it? Or somewhere on there. I see you've got every single review has been a 5-star.
Yeah, to be honest, Dean, it's blown me out of the water. It's completely blown me away. I didn't expect many that would go. I mean, it got the best one, #1 bestseller in gambling on Amazon as well. Didn't expect that to happen. I didn't even expect there to really be any reviews yet. There's I think there was 12 I checked this morning on there. And they're all 5-star as well. So I was kind of like, I've looked through them, obviously, as you would, publishing something like that. Yeah. See if there's any criticism in there. Obviously, constructive criticism as well. Because just because somebody's really good at trading doesn't necessarily mean that they're really good at teaching or expressing that for other people. But, you know, like I said, gobsmacked is probably the best way to sum it up.
Excellent. So, Caan, I really, really genuinely appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on. So I've just got one more question for me. Parting question, I suppose. What does the next 10 years hold for Caan? Where do you see yourself? Will you still be trading? I know it's a massively loaded question, but give it your best shot.
Yeah, it's a big one. And I like to try and remain flexible. Who really knows? I don't know 100%. I did set myself a little while back. I set myself a goal of, you know, being able to retire, hopefully, like if I wanted to, comfortably with all the things that I want in life by the time I get to 35. To be honest, I don't think that'll be much of a doubt. Beyond that, I don't really know. Possibly just pursue things outside of, you know, work and finance and stuff as well, because there's more to life than just making money.
Again, I couldn't agree more, buddy. Absolutely, yeah. There's different ways of being successful. If you're successful in monetary terms, doesn't mean you're successful overall. And you know, it's what you want to achieve. I love setting my goals. I have, like yourself, I have different goals that I want to hit and landmarks and stuff like that. And even if I don't hit them, I just love the journey of trying to get to that goal. So yeah, good luck with retiring by the time you're 35, if you so wish. And last thing for me then, buddy, if people wants to find out more about you, about your course, about your book, how do we do that?
Sure, there's obviously the book's on Amazon, as we've said. You've got the title there, and beyond that, it's just caanberry.com. There's a blog on there as well. If you're, you know, even if you don't want paid stuff, there's free information and some good articles on there as well. But that's it, yeah.
Yeah. What I'll do, Betting Nation, I'll link in the show notes to everything that Caan's mentioned about the course as well, about the book and about the blog and about his website. I'll just put some show notes in there so you can easily find it and just click on there. So, Caan, that's all left for me to say is thank you so much, buddy, for agreeing to come on this podcast. It's been awesome. Really, really genuinely enjoyed it, and I've been looking forward to doing this for quite some time.
No problem, Dean. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
No problem at all, buddy. Cheers.